Breaking the gray.
Cera Turner, we're back. This is amazing. I'm so excited. Like, we talked on the last episode about the Red Light Collective, and I feel like we're jumping into it today, right?
Yes, we're jumping in. Yes. I'm very glad we have one of the members of the Red Light Collective, a recent friend of mine, Guti, right? Guti, we didn't meet that long ago.
Yes, it's been very little time, but we have made very good chemistry, and happy to have met you.
Yeah, for sure. I think we met at the Biohacking Expo here in Miami.
Yes.
And of course, you have this fantastic product, which I just love, which we're going to go into. But yeah, I think this is the whole idea of having products that are synergistic to each other and that you can stack your hacks and that just work well together. And also, bringing people who are educated on your light environment and how to maximize that. So.
Yes, yeah. That's great. Red Light has just so many opportunities. I think that the world's just starting to know its potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cera and I have talked for 4 years now, and I know Cera long before she met me has been talking about this as well. and I'm curious, Guti, how did you get started? Like, what was the thing that got you started with Red Light?
It's basically two different stories that collided at the same time. I actually got first to UVB, then to Red Light, because the device that I created has both Red Light and UVB. And I got to UVB because 4 years ago, I was on testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, and antidepressants. And I didn't like the idea that my doctor told me that I was supposed to use them for the rest of my life. So I started to look for natural alternatives, and I loved reading and studying. So got to buy many books, and all of the books got to the same conclusion that taking the sun was the way to go. So I started taking naked sunbaths, and I stopped taking the pills. And the first months, I was not doing that good. But after 3 months, my testosterone levels were like I was 18-year-old again. And also my mood.
If you're taking naked sunbaths, of course. If I was out there taking naked sunbaths, I'd have to have that's called courage too. So courage should build testosterone as well, right?
Yeah. I can't believe you're not doing it, Russ. Why are you not doing it?
Not here. It's too cold. It's too cold here.
Yeah.
Guti, can you do me a huge favor? Can you explain the difference between the light and the difference between UV and red light?
Well, both are in the electromagnetic spectrum, but basically red light, it's on the low end. Its waves are longer, and the UVB, it's also invisible, but it's on the other end of the spectrum. So UVB waves are shorter and they have more energy, but both are needed for good health. So probably the most needed light for good health are the invisible ones, both UVB and the red light.
Okay, right. Wonderful. And then, so you're out there getting the full Guti tan. You're feeling a little bit better. And then how does that become you creating your own devices?
Well, basically, I came to the conclusion after seeing the great results I got with taking natural sunlight is that not everybody has the opportunity that I have. I live in El Salvador, and most of the year we have great sun. I do home office, and I also have a backyard that I can do naked sunbathing. So I try to buy a lamp with the UVB for the days that the weather was not doing good. And since I couldn't find one, I decided to create my own because I see all the health potential.
That's amazing.
I'm imagining that you do bump into Dr. Jack Cruz down there, right? I know he loves El Salvador as well.
Yeah, Dr. Jack Cruz lives here in El Salvador too.
It seems to be a haven. Like you probably are you El Salvadorian?
Yes, I'm from El Salvador.
You're like, why is everyone here? I was here first. So you're the originator, Guti. Like you originated why is El Salvador the place where the biohacking community is found to be like the perfect place to live?
I believe it's two reasons. One would be the weather. We have lots of sun. We have the sea. Also, we have volcanoes that are good combination for good health. And the other has been the Bitcoin, since we were the first country to adopt Bitcoin. And for example, Dr. Jack Cruz, he is a Bitcoiner, and biohackers. So basically, he got all his friends coming to El Salvador, and that's why El Salvador is suddenly the biohacker heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I love that. And I've, at some point, my wife and I want to come visit, as well. So Guti, we'll reach out, and talk about some things we must see and must do there. And the device you have today, when did you build it? I'd love to learn more. I know, Cera, you know all about it. I'd love to learn more about your device.
Okay. Well, basically, this device is the world's first red light lamp that includes both a narrowband UVB spectrum that has many studies that is the most efficient part of the UVB to actually produce vitamin D, testosterone, and serotonin. Because, for example, in the UV, you have the UVA, then UVB, but just a little part of the UVB is actually efficient at making vitamin D. So, for example, when you go to the sun, you have a lot of different wavelengths, but just a narrow spectrum, the one that makes the UVB. And then my product also has 4 different waves of red and near infrared. So the thing is that when you combine them, they work better. And that was one of the problems with the tanning beds, still the tanning beds today, is that they only produce UV. So the problem is that UV by itself, it's too intense because it creates some stress, cellular stress. But when you combine it with red light as nature intended to, the red light actually heals the part of the stress that's being caused by UVB. So they work better together.
Yeah. I was going to say, we better go over that a bit, Guti, because I think most people, when they think about tanning beds and they think about UV, is they think that it's been labeled as a carcinogen. So I think that's probably the thing that comes to people's minds. So let's put that to rest straight away.
Yes.
Explain to us a bit of detail, the difference between the different lamps.
Yeah, so basically this is a healthy way. And when I devised this product, the idea was to have an alternative to take sunbaths. Because usually when you take a sunbath, the healthy part is one part of the UVB spectrum. And of course, the near infrared that not much people know it since it's visible, but actually near infrared, it's about 60% of the energy you get from the sun. So most of the light from the sun is actually infrared.
Yeah. So this is a healthy way to deliver UV. And also I know that you have various kind of safety protocols in place so that people can't overdose on the light or overdo it a little bit. Maybe you can explain a bit about that.
Yes, one of the probably biggest concerns that most people have when taking the sun is that they don't have a measuring equipment and they could see how much UV they're taking. The idea with the development of this device was to have it perfectly dosed and also to have safety measures. So, for example, if you wanted to use it, you start by choosing your skin type. That tells you the program you should be using, and it gives exactly the amount of UVB your body needs, and you could be stepping up. But also, since I read some reviews of other previous UVB machines that were not LED based, but the old tube, and some of the problem is that some people, by mistake, they got too close to the unit. So I didn't want to happen to my device. So this is also the first unit that has a distance sensor. So even if people try to get close, it will start making a warning sound and it will pause. So you have to get farther away. And when you get to the right distance, then it will activate. So that's like making it foolproof so that nobody can get burned by mistake, because UVB can be very powerful if mismanaged.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's what I love about the lamp. It's so easy to use, and it's just, I mean, I've got a probably a light skin type. I've got skin type 2, so I'm on one of your lowest settings.
Yes,
and for me, it's just 3 minutes. It's just 3 minutes. Actually, we've got one here. I'm in the Light Collective biohacking house in Miami, actually. So John of Lumaflex and Barry Energy Lounger, we're all using this. We're all kind of lining up to get our 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question about where? So where do you, the device is not full body. So do you actually, or is it full body? Does it give you enough light to cover your full body because you're far enough away?
This is our first model, and we wanted to make it available since most people don't have enough space to get a full body
Yeah,
machine.
yeah.
So this would be half body. The good thing about UVB and vitamin D is that you don't need to get it to your whole body to get the benefits. So, for example, for someone like Sarah that used this device, if she used it for 4 minutes, she could get the equivalent of around 4,000 IUs of vitamin D. So that would be great because basically it would be more than some regular synthetic vitamin D you could be taking, and that will give whole body benefits. So you
Yeah.
don't need to have it all over your body to get the big hormonal benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an optimal time of day?
It's better if you do it in the morning, but since it doesn't have blue light, you can use it at every time of the day.
Yeah, we get enough blue light from our phones, computers. So
Ross,
I
put your
know, I
blue
know.
blockers on. Put
Yeah.
your blue blockers on. So that's an interesting thing that you just said about the equivalence to supplementation, because from the little research I've done, it's very difficult actually for the body to make that conversion of D2 to D3. You know, even if you're taking supplements, you don't really know if your body is making that conversion. So what is the difference between supplementation and using UV light?
Okay. The first difference is that most people they have gastrointestinal issues. So it's considered that around 60% of Americans could have one form of leaky gut. That means that since your intestines are not doing great, you cannot absorb nutrients. So the first factor is that most people cannot absorb vitamin D or oral vitamins through orally because they have problems with the intestines. When you do it through your skin, it's actually in a form of vitamin D that's also more bioavailable. So your body will truly make it and it will be ready for use. And also, there are some studies that show that even if you get to the same levels through light or you get through the same levels through oral supplementation, the vitamin D levels last up to 3 times longer when you have gotten them through your skin. So the body knows best.
Yeah, that's a big difference. And actually, I just want to make a comment. We've made a bit of a switcheroo from when we were talking earlier about testosterone, and now we've jumped to vitamin D.
Yes.
So maybe you can just explain the difference and how you've developed this technology for both of those hormones.
Well, UVB helps with many different things. For example, as far as we know today, since this science is really new and we're always discovering new things, because, for example, 50 years ago, the only benefit that men knew about taking the sunshine was vitamin D. Now we know a lot about how the infrared works, and now we are also learning about benefits from the UVB. So UVB, as far as we know now, helps with vitamin D synthesis, helps also with testosterone production, not produced locally, but we have some proteins called the P53 that send the signal to the cell. Then we increase the luteinizing hormone, and those basically trigger the testicles or the ovaries to produce testosterone. And lastly, serotonin, the happy hormone. So that's why when people go all day to the beach and take the sun, they just feel happier. And when you're spending too much time indoors, the depression rates go up. So one of the main reasons why depression is going up so much is lack of sunlight.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so to go back to the testosterone piece, because I know that's something, I used to be asked it at every single conference, where do you put the light for testosterone? But not been asked so much. But now that you have a lamp to do this, people are starting to ask me again, what's the protocol? Where do I need to place the device to kind of maximize that side? So maybe we better talk a bit about the testosterone piece, I think.
Okay. Basically, since the testosterone is with the lamp, is triggered in 3 different ways. One would be the vitamin D pathway, because even if you get synthetic vitamin D, when your vitamin D raises, also your testosterone raises. The second pathway would be the P53, and that helps in every part of the skin, but it's supposed to work better when you use it on the testicles. I'm going to have some clinical studies to compare the difference between using it on the chest or down under to see how much is the difference. And the third pathway would be actually infrared light. Since when you're shining the light to your genitals, the infrared is basically nourishing all of your cells. So your Leipzig cells get nourished by the infrared. So you have more potential healthy cells to produce more testosterone. So it's three different pathways on how the lamp could be used. And I usually recommend people that they, for example, use it one day on the chest, the regular timing that the chart gives you, and the other day they can use it on their genitals. And I had very good feedback.
Sarah and I talked about this before the episode. I'm curious, is the skin, is there any skin worries here of like, I know that you have a certain duration of time, but is the skin different there? In that area, is it more sensitive? Is there anything to worry about with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, basically, when you see the chart that I give you in the manual, it gives you your overall skin tone. So what is recommended is that you start on the lower program because that part of your body is not used to be exposed to sunlight. So at the beginning, it would be more sensitive. So you start, for example, with the P2 in my case, then I got to P3 and I could go with the P4. But for me, I stayed in the P3 because I'm conservative. So just try to do it gradually. As with sunlight, the problem with sunlight, for example, is that people spend all winter inside and then they want to go to the sun and spend 12 hours. And that's when problems arise. So you have to do it gradually.
I have a lot of, I have a lot of my friends are early 50s, and they're all going through some form of prostate issues. I have a friend who just got diagnosed with prostate cancer and, a family member as well. Are there any things around prostatitis or anything around the prostate? I imagine there's got to be some health benefits there too.
Yes, definitely. For the different types of cancer, in this case, prostate cancer, it would be vitamin D. Vitamin D lowers the incidence of breast cancer, of colon cancer, of skin cancer, of many types of cancer. So any medium you could use to raise your vitamin D will help with many types of cancers. So I usually recommend people, now that I've studied all this, is get a vitamin D blood test so you could actually know your numbers. And 90% of the time they're surprised that they're doing so bad. And also get a testosterone test and then use the lamp and then measure again 2 months later to see the difference.
I'm going to go look. I don't know if I have I've just gone through every single possible test for my body over the last 3 or 4 months. I don't know if I've actually done my vitamin D testing. What is a normal range for vitamin D? And what happens I imagine that as you turn 50 and you start getting older, vitamin D goes down. What are some things that we can do to kind of track, and what do we need to be aware of as we get older?
So those were 2 questions. Okay, the first one, what is recommended is that you should need to have above 30 nanograms per milliliter of vitamin D. The problem is that those numbers were made probably like 70 years ago, and they only considered the benefits of vitamin D for calcium absorption. So back then, they didn't understand all the different forms that vitamin D is used. So the minimum would be 30 to 40, but then you should look actually for optimal levels, and optimal levels should be around from 60 to 90. In my case right now, I'm around 90, and I didn't, even when I got myself to 90, I didn't feel the energy gains or health benefits right away. You have to wait maybe 4-6 months by having the right amount of vitamin D till you start to feeling the difference. As also with testosterone, you will feel some benefits immediately, but the real benefits you will feel after 6 months of having the levels adequate.
Do you have some testimonials already, Guti? I know that you haven't been that long with your product, but have you already got some testimonials?
I have testimonials, for example. The closest testimonial I have is from my father, that he started using the device. He's 82, and he didn't believe too much in the lamp, but he actually used it. And then around 1 month after using it, he told me that he was having a side effect. And his side effect was he was having, again, morning erections. So I said, well, that's a good side effect, because fertility is one of the easiest ways to measure how good your health is. If your fertility is good, you're healthy. If your fertility is down, you're unhealthy.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that you told me a wonderful story about how you used this on your dog.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell that story because it's
Yes.
lovely.
Yes. At the beginning, I told that I got to the idea of the lamp by two different stories. The UVB I already told, and the other one was about RedLight. The first time I heard about RedLight, it was in a YouTube video, and there was this lady telling that red light could rejuvenate your skin. And I said, like, nah, I don't believe that. But anyway, since I'm always curious, I bought a small lamp and I bought a couple of books of red light, and I started using it, and I saw the improvement. But it's like, okay, it helps with the skin, but I don't believe the rest of the story. And 1 year ago, I have a pet, a Shih Tzu dog. Her name is Winnie, and she was very bad with her arthritis. So she was barely walking and was crying because she was afraid of lowering the stairs because of the pain. And I said, well, let's give it a try. So I built her a crate and put the light and waited. And 1 week later, she was walking again. I was like, wow.
Wow.
There's no placebo effect here. So that's the way that I actually believe on the potential and how amazing red light works. And now that I've been using it for a year with my dog, I'm more amazed every day. She's actually right now better than she was 4 years ago. So
I have been
for me,
reading.
it's crazy.
It's you know, Sarah and I've talked about this, and she's lived through my dog ownership since the beginning. My dog's turning the same age, so we just decided that my dog is going to be the mascot, and I don't even know if the coincidence we noticed it, but my dog's name is Sunny, and I bought Sunny.
Sunny.
Yeah, I bought Sunny the same year we started the podcast. So Sunny is our mascot. But I think we need to be the first people to declare that we will put out the first pet friendly red light product. People with pets are crazy. They will buy everything, and especially pets that get older. Like one of the things, I have 2 Labradors, and Sarah and I were just talking about this, and that they get old really fast. They go from puppy to like old man really fast. And so, especially with the arthritis in the hips, and Labradors typically have bad hips, and the bigger dogs do. So just putting some red light in the area, or just some red light period, while he's in his crate. Maybe I can hook it up to his crate and, just have it sit on him.
I believe more in complete red light exposure than in localized. Because basically, even if you use it on one side of your face, you'll still get some benefits on the other, because it's a whole body benefit. So I believe in getting whole body infrared. And if you think about it, whenever there's light, you could see the dogs naturally go to take their sunbath. So the problem with pets nowadays is the same problem with humans. We live just too much time indoors, and then we are lacking all of the infrared rays that we naturally have when we have a walk in nature.
It's true. My dogs will go out on my deck and not in my room, and they will just find this little peel of sunlight, and they're just like laying in the sunlight. I mean, Sunny used to have his dark black nose, but he's out in the sun so much. His nose is like a light tan now. Like he's actually been like sun bleached. He loves the sun so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think Gucci and I we quite often talk about this, don't we, Gucci, that really we could just do ourselves out of all business if people were just to get up with sunrise and stay in the sun all day and work outside and see the sunset. You know, we wouldn't need to be around, but actually that's just not how we're living right now.
Yes. So basically what we need is to spend more time in nature. For example, one of the things that have amazed me more is that I will always know that it's good to go and take a walk in the greens in a forest. And right now that I have a professional device to measure all the different types of rays, when you walk in front of trees, basically all of the near infrared is reflected back to you. So you're just getting natural free red light therapy when you go in a walk in the woods. So
oh yeah, that's wonderful.
Get back to nature or buy our products.
Oh, but yeah, exactly. Spend all day outside.
This is called stacking your hacks. This is like stacking nature too. You know, there's and Cera has really talked about this so much, and I really try to get to the beach and take my shoes off and get in that sun. I mean, the
grounding is amazing.
It's so amazing. Yeah. And I think that there's so many practical uses. Guti, I'm curious, how you have looked at your testosterone over the years. Has it stabilized? Have you felt like, it's kind of under control now? Are you still seeing, kind of a jumping up and down, and I'm curious how the testosterone is doing now.
Well, in my case, the first time I measured, because the doctor believed that I could be having low testosterone, it was 380. Then I got on TRT and they got me to 650. Then there was a time that I didn't use it because I believed that I didn't need to be on TRT again. And it got to 280. So I was even bad because the problem with TRT is that your body gets used to it. So you start producing testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
And the final time I was using, I got down to around 400. But since I've been taking the sun or using my machine, I've been around 750, 850. So I'm doing like I was in my teens.
And
yeah, that's great testimonial.
And the range for like testosterone for males is between 240 and 870. Is that about right? 240 seems pretty low, but what's the healthy number?
It depends on your age. As you go up, it's natural that your levels decline, but levels on average have declined 40% during the last 50 years.
Wow.
So even your grandpa could have more testosterone than someone that's 20 years old right now. So for my age group, it would be considered to be low on testosterone if I had less than 300. But that's really bad because if you want to be healthy, I should be around the 500 to 550 range. And if I get that 550 I have now, I'm doing a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to be in the average. We're aiming for optimized. That's what everyone should be aiming for. If you look at these charts and they kind of give you a range, you don't want to be at the bottom of the range necessarily.
Yep.
Yes, and the problem with vitamin D and testosterone is that there are many doctors that say, like, you don't need it, everybody's doing bad.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to do that too.
Well, Cera and I have talked to enough. Yeah. We've talked to enough testosterone people on the show to know that it matters. And I've heard Joe Rogan enough talk about how important it is. But also I think that's a little bit more toxic testosterone.
Yes. And
but it's important. I mean, and it's important for whole health. I mean, I think what you said is if your fertility is down, that means there's something wrong with you and you're unhealthy. I mean, as you get older, I imagine that your fertility goes down. Women go through menopause, men go through, menopause, whatever they go through. But there is a fertility change as you get older, but there is a stable number as you're hitting your late 50s and 60s. I imagine testosterone still needs to be around a certain number for you to be healthy.
Yes, but
not just men, right?
Yeah.
DT?
Yes, not just men.
Okay.
And for example, it used to be normal for men after 75 to have erection problems. But nowadays you have people that are on their early 20s and they're having those problems. And it's because all the different things that basically all the toxics on the environment that lower your testosterone and also lower your nitric oxide and so on.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting when you look at kind of the demographics for it and how the people just adjust their expectations down rather than, okay, we really need to be thinking about why this is happening and make sure everybody's optimized.
Mm-hmm. And there's one interesting fact that I read during the last month is, for example, when people think testosterone, they feel like manhood, like muscles and so on. But testosterone is basic for all of your metabolism. And for example, this study got to the conclusion that if you have low testosterone, you have a 38% increase of all mortality death cause. So at any age group, if your testosterone is low, you have 38% more probability of dying from anything. And that's a big number.
Wow.
That's a big number, very significant.
I'm wondering too about like fertility and sperm count. I'm curious if that's something as well that you're looking at as you're affecting that area. I know that that's all, there's enough dialogue on Twitter X these days about the low birth rates, but I'm wondering about the sperm count as well. Is that something that you've seen any impact in?
I haven't checked my fertility, but for example, what I try to explain to people is basically my lamp. It gives you the benefits of the sun through UVB and near infrared. And there are hundreds of studies that show how sunlight affects fertility. For example, if you go near the equator, people have better fertility rates. If you go up north or down to the south, they start getting lower fertility rates because of the lack of sunshine, and also higher incidence of diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and so many diseases that are directly linked to the lack of sunlight. So
Yeah.
this machine just works by trying to imitate the best as possible natural sunlight.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, maybe you can tell us a bit then, Guti, because I'm sure everybody's now thinking, where can they get one? Where do they find it? How is it made? Because I know this is a start-up for you and you haven't been doing it very long. How
Yes.
are you with your production, and can people buy it worldwide? Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, I started developing the unit a little over a year ago, and the sales started just recently in February. So we're very new, but we're happy with the great feedback we're having so far. And if you want to buy a unit, we're already selling worldwide. So you could sell at MitoLux.com. There you could go and buy your unit and have it delivered within 8 to 10 days to any part of the world.
Wow, that's great. I mean, we have one here in Miami for the biohacker house that we're setting up. I also have one in England where it's hugely important. I've got my mum using it. I have people coming around to use it. So it's something that you can have in the house and that multiple people can use, right? It's just something that you can have in the bathroom even. So people make sure they use it after they've had a shower or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So when I decided this, I tried to make in a compact size that also looked nice, because the idea is that you could have it by your bed or any place in your home and it would be elegant. And also, if you want to travel with it, it only weighs 2.5 pounds. And also you can put it inside a drawer. And what people don't understand until they try it is just how powerful the unit is, because it is around, depending on when you compare it to, from 10 to 15 times stronger in vitamin D production than the sun at midday in my
Right.
country. So imagine having a lamp that is 10 times stronger than the sun in the near the equator. So that's why you only need to use it 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes to get all the benefits.
Yeah, hugely efficient. I mean, Russ, I know that you're kind of doing a lot of stuff now and you're kind of come down with a bit of a cold and things. This is exactly the kind of thing you need, because vitamin D is so associated with all kinds of things like infections and colds, and you're so much more likely to come down with an infection if your vitamin D is low.
Yeah, that's right. And also sun. Whenever I'm starting to get the flu or feeling bad, I take the sun, and if not available, I use my machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to the beach today after we hang up here. I'm going to the beach. I'm taking my dog Sunny. We're going to go frolic around in the sand in the ocean. But it's a beautiful product. Would you mind to power it on? I'd love to see how it looks with the light on. Wow.
Oh yeah, there you go. Look
It's
at that.
very powerful.
It really is. You disappeared. We should have done the entire episode with it on.
So put it on the screen again, Guti, because I just want to show that we can kind of see that where there are gaps there, where it looks like there are gaps, that's actually the UV.
Oh wow, okay.
We can start to see that.
Uh-huh.
So these ones that we can see, what wavelengths have you got in there, Guti, in the red?
Okay, I have the Amber 590. We're one of the first companies to start using it.
Yes.
I decided to put that in because, first of all, it gives a nicer color that resembles more like a sunset. But the other reason why is that it helps with nitric oxide and microcirculation. So all of the red light helps with nitric oxide, but this frequency works better than the others. So I have the 590, that's the amber, 630, that's a red, and then I have the 830 and the 850 near infrared. So for wavelengths, and it's very, very powerful. When I turn it on, people don't expect to have this much power from a compact lamp.
No, and because it is so bright, because I can see where you've got that amber and you've got the low red, that it could be very good for skin health, especially in the face. But can people look at it because it's quite bright, or how does that work?
Well, basically, there are a lot of studies that support on how red and near infrared can help eyesight. For example, in my case, it had really done a difference because I will need to go to change because I can now read better closer without my glasses. So I've seen a difference in myself, and it helps with myopia and many other things. If people feel that it's too bright, maybe they don't look straight to the lamp, but you could be looking to one side or to the other. And we also include some safety UV glasses. And if your eyes are too sensitive, you can just choose between the orange or the dark glasses so you can manage the light. But in my case, I just use the glasses when I'm in the UVB mode, because for the
Right.
UVB, you really need to use them. But for the near infrared, you don't actually need it. It's actually healthy.
UVB, that's good to know. I must admit, I haven't been using the glasses, but I just shut my eyes.
Oh, yes, or you just close your eyes. And the good thing, for example, when you use it in the program mode, that you get both the benefits of the UV and also you get the benefits of the red light therapy. So it's like combining the best of the midday with the best of a sunset.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it does look lovely, and you're right. There is something comforting about that, the orange and red together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, I'm totally sold. I love the product. I think it's brilliant. I'm very glad you're in our little collective. Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful device, Guti. So it's MitoLux.com, M as in Mickey Mouse, ITO Lux. And it's okay, wonderful. Yeah.
MitoLux. Okay.
Awesome. It's a beautiful device. You've done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
I love meeting more and more red light experts, and it just reminds me I have to get outside. I need to get more of these devices.
You need the tech, you need the sun, because you're there in kind of the fog belt.
Yeah.
So, you would have to stay outside a very long time in order to get the same UV exposure, because you've got to get through that cloud, and even then it could be a cloudy day. So if you're going to do it, there are apps you can have on your phone. I've got one called D-Minder, and it will tell you how long you've got to stay out. But like you said, it could be that you have to stay outside for like 4 or 5 hours in order to get a good amount of UV.
Yes, but for example, those apps don't take into consideration the clouds. So for example, suddenly you have a cloud and you have 99% of all the UVB gone. So it's very difficult to measure when your weather is changing. And the good side with the lamp is that you can always measure it exactly. So you have just the right amount.
Yeah, you know exactly the dose. Yeah, that's very clever. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Well, I'm totally in. I'm using mine. I'm going to be tracking my own, because I had some blood panels done. So I know my testosterone and vitamin D. Actually, my testosterone was very low. And, I do a lot of travel, and I spend a lot of time in UK. So maybe that's what was going on there. But I'm really interested to see.
Yes, you should use it regularly and then try 2 months later.
I'm going to, because I use the lamp fairly religiously when I'm traveling. Like I say, I'm lucky that I have it in both places. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, I already feel great using it. And I know when we've been doing some shows together, we're kind of all of us using each other's devices and charging each other up. So that's very cool.
That's absolutely.
That's wonderful. And Guti, when we get down to El Salvador, we will reach out.
Sure. Already.
Make sure you call beforehand, Russ. Otherwise, you might be in the back.
Already told Sarah to come here to listen, and you have a great time.
Oh, good.
I'm going.
Have you been, Sarah?
Not yet, but I intend to.
Maybe we have to do the Rebel Scientist podcast remote from El Salvador. You're right, Sarah.
Yeah.
I did not. I heard what you said. We will have to give a pre-call to Guti just to make sure we're not stumbling into his backyard as he's sunbathing back there. But however, I mean, it's been incredibly enlightening. And I think every single time we do these episodes, we learn something new. And I'm really excited to use your device, but also I'm excited for everyone to get their hands on it and really use it. It's incredible. And I'm just so excited for it to get out there and for more people to start using it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guti. It was lovely to see you. See you soon.
Okay, see you soon, Sarah. And nice to meet you, Russ.
Bye-bye.
Breaking the gray.